I welcome you to the first of the offer marketing track sessions. We're talking here about something I think a little bit unique, something that has just happened in a very organic way as we've worked with some of our customers, in this case Copa Airlines and Japan Airlines. But oftentimes the products that we provide to our customers are framed as buy versus build. And what's happened is some of our relationships with our customers, as they've just evolved, have become buy and build. It's become very blurry. Looking back at that and kind of reflecting on it, in a weird way, it was almost obvious. Like the example that I always share around this is, airlines say, oh, I want to build my website, right? But they still go and buy a CMS to do that, right? You don't build your website, like truly, right? From basically like the first line of code. And so in many ways, that's how EveryMundo has begun working with a lot of our carriers. And today we have Jenna Nishimura, the manager of global digital experience at Japan Airlines, and Diego Morales, director of digital products for Copa Airlines. And we've been working with each of these airlines for, I want to say like 6 or 7 years at this point. Four with JAL and 6, okay, with Copa. And again, in each case, a somewhat parallel story of starting with one thing, adding some more things, and then over time, starting to just become a part of the fabric of the airline's digital toolkit. And then that just leads to this blurriness, right? Which is fantastic, which opens up all sorts of possibilities and participation of other departments and stakeholders, and really has given EveryMundo just a more valuable position in the airline. And so what we intend to do is, first I'll turn to Diego and allow him to tell a little bit of that story, and we'll just have some conversation about that, but then we'll jump into just a couple examples of where that has kind of ended now, like where the journey has reached and what the next phase of that journey together is, so you guys can hopefully get the tangible sense of the work that we're doing together. So with that, I'll turn over to Diego to introduce and to talk about this.
Thank you, Seth. So Diego Morales, Director of Digital Products at Copa Airlines. So I want to tell you a little bit the story on how we started working with EveryMundo, which has been really interesting and quite a journey. So about, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, we had kind of an old website for copa.com, which was a little bit not as robust as the new one, and it wasn't very flexible, older technology, and so we said we wanted to do some SEO, some fare marketing, and start using some of the EveryMundo products, and it was fantastic because we kind of created our website with a third-party vendor, and then we introduced EveryMundo for air traffics and for SEO, and actually, interestingly enough, I was reminded this morning that we also had something called Booksmart, which you guys kind of helped us with to make our website responsive, which was in that moment 7 years ago amazing. And so we've gone from having a website that couldn't do as much and having air traffics complement that because we couldn't create all of those pages and that technology as fast, to where we're now, which we just released a brand new website, I want to say 3 months ago or 2 months ago, with the latest technology, super fast, created by Copa, designed by Copa, but we're still partners with EveryMundo, doing basically everything that we've been doing from day one, except Booksmart. We can now make our website responsive, but using the same technology, right? So instead of thinking should we buy or build, it's kind of both, and both at the same time, just in a slightly different way. So instead of EveryMundo doing kind of 100% of the solution for us and then just us integrating, we said we want a little bit more control over the experience across not only the website, but also the app and the booking engine and the check-in flow. So we've kind of built our own internal design system, and we just integrate with EveryMundo using FareWire Plus and some of the other tools. So we're still partners. We're still as partners as day one. I want to say even more today. Just using more capabilities as we go.
Yeah. So I think one of the really critical things is along the way we were able to introduce all the products or product categories, right? Having initially our traffics, which is pages plus airModules that show fares, right? Then on the last version of the website before the new one, there was interest in showing fares on the homepage, but that wasn't going to happen unless it could be kind of plug and play, right? There wasn't at the time the flexibility to build user experiences showing fares into that homepage. So we delivered an airModule to be embedded there. And now with the redesign, what we've been doing, which I think is very cool, is identifying opportunities where Diego and his team want to own the full user experience, but want EveryMundo providing the fares. In other cases, you don't want to own the full user experience. You're happy with one of the quote-unquote off-the-shelf products that EveryMundo is offering to solve that issue. And then what I actually think is the most exciting part is placing certain airModules in parts of the site where Copa knows that they want to ultimately own it, but want the time to build what you want, using, in this case, FareWire, and using the airModule as a placeholder. And then that gives EveryMundo the ability to kind of like honor that plan through commercial flexibility, right? Through saying, sure, take an airModule, use it the day you're done with it, and you're going to replace it with a FareWire endpoint. We'll just swap it out. It's not going to cost more or less. We're not going to nickel and dime for that swap. We all know it's going to happen. There's no pressure to do it on a certain timeline. And so that when we started to realize that, that's when some of the Copa leadership, I think, started to look at us a little bit differently also, right? Maybe we can spend a minute there before going to the products, which is because EveryMundo came into Copa on the back of air traffics from mostly an SEO perspective and air SEM to automate the paid search, we were part of marketing. And Diego and his boss, Ricardo, have spent years trying to explain this is a technology company, not a marketing agency, right? So I don't know if you want to speak a little bit about, like, in the latest version of that, I think we finally got there. Yeah.
Yeah, so just to piggyback a little bit on something you said earlier, one of the modules or the airModules that we're looking into right now is the redemption one, the redemption map, for example, right? So we want to display redemption prices across the Connect Miles page, right? And so instead of us spending the very precious time we have on all of our sprints to develop core things for Copa, for the website, and core technology, we said, let EveryMundo build that airModule, which is already built, and we just can plug it in. It'll take seconds or minutes, and we'll take it from there, right? And so I find myself a lot of the time making decisions like that, saying, we'll let EveryMundo do it for a while, and then we'll take it over, and then we never take it over because there's something more important later, and because it works, right? And we don't need to make any changes there. So on the other part on how we kind of took the relationship from the marketing team to the digital team, we basically, like Seth was saying, we started understanding that this was not a marketing company but a technology company, and that we needed to control kind of that experience and give the tools then within all of our different channels and different products to the marketing team. So because they, in the marketing team, they kind of have a very marketing-ish way of looking at things, right? And so they think about 3 or 4 different use cases, and they stay there. And what we do is since we control kind of all of the different channels, not only the website, we can look at expanding those offerings to more channels and then going to a marketing team and saying, not only these 3 use cases, but think about these 9 use cases that now you can do, right? And so one good example of that is, I think our marketing team was always focused on the website and not necessarily on the mobile application, right? And now, since digital is kind of taking over the EveryMundo relationship, you know, a couple of months ago we said, and we kind of proposed from our user experience team, look how the fares will look on the mobile application, and they were super excited, and they never thought about that before. So it's kind of another example of why we thought it was a good idea, and it's working perfectly fine.
So just to finish it up, I thought we could talk about just some of these use cases, right? And so, Diego, if you want to talk through them, I can just flip through. There's 2 or 3 here. And then
yeah, no, for sure. So this is the new Copa website, copaair.com. And basically what we're doing here is, you know, we created a very streamlined website with the booking on top, like every other airline. But it wasn't like that before, right? And when we were thinking about it, we said, you know, we want to have this same exact booking panel across the website, the app, and, you know, every single booking panel in every single digital channel that we have. And so we started thinking, okay, but if I create this one and then I use the air traffic's one in another place, then, you know, they're not going to be exactly the same. So what we said was, you know, EveryMundo, can we use your APIs to kind of develop ourselves, because we already have, and then just kind of do the pricing points in the, like you can see in the date picker, and, you know, it was perfectly fine. We could do that, right? So integrating, like us creating the experience and the design was important for us, but being able to use those APIs as well to kind of create the experience we ultimately wanted was the end goal, right? So that's kind of a little bit of what we did there. And then on the next one, these are kind of compositions we create on the website. It's very flexible for the marketing team. They literally pick a color, what goes on the CTA, a couple of images, and they write the text, right? And it was super slick at the beginning. They really liked it, but they said, you know, we also want to include fares. So not only a carousel on the website like we've always had, but like in specific places. And again, it's one API call to EveryMundo, and then we can have the fares right wherever we want them. And not only on copa.com, but like I said before, on the website and, you know, on My Trips and everywhere else.
So this, we'll come back to this for when we speak with Nishimura-san. But yeah, just to reiterate this last point, the idea is that we stopped worrying about where kind of Copa ends and EveryMundo begins, or the other way around, right? This is now a user experience built by Copa that is where we are swapping out a placeholder product that EveryMundo provided to use the API to power this. And so now I want to turn over to Nishimura-san to talk a little bit about the Japan Airlines experience, which is different but similar in many ways, I think, to what we experienced with Copa. So go for it.
Yeah, thank you. You're 1 year ahead or 2 years ahead of us. We started 2019, and we started with air traffics. And the one slide before, the visualization of the price from the date checker. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, first one. Yeah, that one we were thinking to implement, but the project itself stopped due to several constraints. But yeah, obviously, Copa start to have the partnership with EveryMundo 2 years before us. And we were thinking about trying to implement that. So yeah, it's very, very clear. And so we are not this stage yet, but okay, let's move to our thing. Then we started air traffics. So now we generate lots of pages focus on O&D or focus on, like for example, for us, we are Japan Airlines, so our home market is Japan. Then, but we have network from Asia connecting in Tokyo, then flying through North America. Then if we try to capture those traffic passengers, they don't know us. We are one of who are you kind of airline. And of course, if I say I'm from Japan Airline, you can tell I'm an aviation guy and my home is Japan. But none of them consider us to fly from Philippines to LA. But since we have air traffic solution and a lot of pages, it has a lot of SEO good effects, especially to those market which we are not dominant. In the right context, when the customer are searching on Google, they don't come to our web page. They search online, or they search by meta search. Then for those organic traffic, who is trying to search some like from point A to point B, since we have air traffic pages, we can show our fare, and we can propose them those cross-created offers. We can deliver it. That's the power of offer marketing, the third quadrant, which we hear in the morning session. And also, we implemented airModules and FareWires. Yeah, we started air traffic, then we find out EveryMundo solutions helps us a lot, which we wanted to do on our website, but on our website's technology or content management system, which was not capable of it, or we have to build our own. But since EveryMundo solution is focused on our like aviation's fare marketing part, so offer marketing part, so it is very clear what kind of value EveryMundo provide us, and it's very fair relation, which we want to implement. Do you have it? They have it. Or like, of course, still like maybe I said too good. Of course, there is several part which we want to change. For example, if we use those air traffic pages, some of those bound for Tokyo, all the photos are the same. Then those price panels we show to the customer, every destination looks the same. Then maybe we need to change those part, but that is maybe like, it might be our problem, how to change the thing. Well, like, this is not a user community session. And
Fair enough. No, I want to call attention. I think there's an important distinction in the experiences that we've had with Japan Airlines versus Copa, even though kind of the end result is somewhat similar. Copa, the departments that participate in air traffic, marketing, digital, to some small extent IT, there's more proximity there. At Japan Airlines, not as much, right? And so I know it took time for there to, basically for the socialization of what we're doing on air traffics to call attention to this broader fare marketing concept that you were just talking about, Nishimura-san, right? But then once we brought FareWire in, now you're engaging the digital media teams. And so now they start to have participation. And one thing, I don't know if you can see it clearly. Well, so yeah, so we expanded into, through partnership with Movable Ink. Movable Ink was even there in the beginning of our relationship, if you remember. But then air traffic went first, and we came back to this. So Movable Ink enables, for those who don't know, enables dynamic content in emails upon open. And so now you have Japan Airlines designing the emails, of course, using Movable Ink to enable dynamic content. And what is the dynamic content? It's the fare, right? Which, once again, would align to the fare on the air traffic's page as well. And I think the one thing I wanted to make sure was it, yeah, here, right? It was the guide to Japan, right? So one thing that I think was super interesting, and this to give credit where it's due to Japan Airlines, they were the ones who, in developing a travel guide, a separate branded travel guide, still on the website, but very much distinct from kind of the core business and the normal flow of things. It was you guys who said, let's take what we have here, right? This kind of travel guide concept, and let's bring fares into that story, right? And that was the beginning of our journey together on airModules. So just bringing new applications into an environment that was otherwise not necessarily considered to be transactional or performance oriented, right? More just like a media, I don't know, a content media strategy. And so I don't know if you wanted to talk about any of these or, yeah, go for it. With the guide to Japan, I thought that was, again, it's a more unusual use case.
Yes, for this pages, like mostly those travel guide web medias, they have those modules which is provided by Skyscanner or those other travel agencies, Expedia. Then, like, if we do that on our website, then we have to, if the customer book the air ticket from our website, then they move to Skyscanner, then they purchase it, then we still have to pay the commission. Hey, that customer visited our website. why, like, for those booking, we have to pay commission? Then we need some of those modules which can attract our customer who visited this website. That's fair enough, right? But the thing is, our website, our proper booking flow have to input all the required informations to make the offers. So when you're gonna leave, how many of you, but with this module, it has the price already. So this is quite unique part. So I want to try how this page gonna perform. Then it will be very good solution, very good experience. And also we don't need to pay any extra cost for like meta search or GDS. That's also very important part.
And you're not sharing the customer relationship, right? You keep the customer to yourself, which of course if an OTA ends up doing the booking, that's not the case anymore. And so I think this was, yeah, we had, I think just one more example, same idea. But I think this was everything we wanted to talk about, unless there's anything more you guys wanted to bring up about the relationship. If not, we have like 5 more minutes, I think. If there's any questions, feel free to stand up. We have the microphone. Come and talk to the guys. Yep. I don't think that's the right one. There we go. We'll go back. There we go. Any questions, anybody? Any thoughts or... Do you disagree with anything discussed? I don't know. Feel free. Yeah, hop in. Oh, come up. Come to the, yeah.
Yeah, just a question on the externalized air modules that have gone into these sort of things to do pages for Japan Airlines. I mean, I'm a marketing background, so my name's Sam from Logan Air, first of all. So we're a UK regional airline. And we're considering something similar. So at the moment, we use air traffics extensively for sort of very low funnel transactional pages. Mm-hmm. But we're looking to take that to sort of the next step, and how do we get new business at incremental volume and looking at more mid-funnel. And to me, these are more mid-funnel pages because they're still in research mode, things to see and do and that type of thing. So I just wondered, have you seen much conversion and transactions coming through these types of pages? Because this is a journey that we're potentially about to embark on ourselves.
So, no, you're bringing up a great point. It was a bit echoey. I don't know if everyone
Sorry.
could hear it okay, but well, it's not your fault. But no, just asking around the conversion in these kinds of situations, right? When you're placing these modules, let's say in less obvious performance environments or transactional situations, right? It's very different than someone goes to Google and searches, I don't know, flight from Miami to Denver, and they're telling you exactly what they're looking for, right? So yes, but also in other situations, there's other KPIs that we have found to be relevant, right? So in certain, so here's just a couple examples. Like for example, during COVID, we actually launched a cooperation with a lot of our customers where we identified just high trafficked web pages, nothing to do with transaction, oftentimes more just informational. And because especially during COVID, there was a lot, like on balance, there was more investigation of other information on the website beyond what you'd normally spend, to spend time looking at on an airline's website. And we just started sticking air modules and booking masks and these widgets just kind of front and center in those pages in an effort to just squeeze a little extra juice out of that traffic. And it was working, right? We measured all this and we saw meaningful revenue, meaningful conversion, because again, it's high volume of traffic. They're clearly exhibiting some sort of brand loyalty or affinity, like otherwise why are they spending time on your website? And it was just about trying to entice them in the moment. Now, most of the time, I would say immediate conversion. So the challenge becomes the way you measure conversion, right? Attribution. That's like the $1 million issue in the world of marketing acquisition. The challenge we always found is that oftentimes we're placing the air modules in locations where the user is not in a transactional mindset. And so the goal is not necessarily to get them to take out their card and buy then, but rather to get them back into the funnel, right? And so the homepage in many ways is the best example of this, right? If a user comes to the homepage and they're in doing so with the intention of buying a flight, they know exactly where to go, right? They go right to the search panel, they put in their information, and they book, which means the air module on the homepage is for users who are not coming with that level of intention, right? They're coming to do one of a handful of other things that you would do on an airline's website other than book, which, by the way, is, I think, the minority of that traffic coming to the homepage. However, the use of the air module, or for that matter, any display of fares, right, is simply, I'd say there's two key value propositions. One is bringing them back into the funnel, right? Actually saying, we have this flight, it's at this fare, think about it, right? And then, as long as we get them to kind of interact or click, you're back in the game with them. The other one, and this was especially relevant coming out of COVID, is network visibility. Simply giving people clarity on where you fly and then what it costs to go there, right? Because it's nice to obviously take that next step and not just say, oh, we fly to these cities, but here's actually a frame of reference on what it would cost. And so in measuring the value of these products in those kinds of locations, we suggest not necessarily not abandoning conversion traditionally, but like looking at it also through different lenses.
No, 100%, 100%. I mean, it's exactly that. It's just we're looking at this sort of more mid-funnel, creating custom pages with things to see and do.
Right.
And I just wondered if were you seeing a quick win and actually there was more transactions going on than you expected? And then secondly, I just wondered what the use case was for Japan Airlines. So I'm guessing retargeting, keeping, and just taking them down the funnel from there.
Yeah, you're saying so specifically in the context of travel guide information?
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, specifically in the context of travel guide information, like alongside that?
Maybe some other sort of
This is
mid-funnel
a big debate we've always had, is the relevance of that kind of information on an airline's website, because of course there's websites and there's huge global publishers that are in that business, right, of what to do. It ultimately comes down to the prominence and placement of the air module and the effect it has, right? Something as basic as, are you putting it above or below the content, all of a sudden makes a huge difference, right? Is it the first thing they see or the thing they see if they manage to get to the bottom of the story you're telling in terms of things to do? And so, but yes, there's always been a positive impact, right? I mean, because again, it's something where there was otherwise nothing, typically speaking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it. Any last ones? On to the next. All right, guys, thank you.